Hello, my name is Creostix, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Adventures, from where we left off in Case 4. Since you haven't missed much. Yeah, I did the first bit of Case 4 I think yesterday, and I just started. So, also Sins, hi, welcome. I hope you've had an excellent day. 19th of February, 2:38 p.m. Briar Road. It looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect, so let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yes, and let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at that silver tip Iris gave us for him. Right. Converse. Oh, right, not converse. I need to present this thing. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? I'm sorry to say that I don't. I'm a very busy man. Much too busy to talk to a pair of foreign gadabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? For me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here, at once. Come on, hand it over. That's for me. Ah, don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? It's a silver crown, obviously, but it's a lot more than that. It's, well, an appearance fee, that's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see, you mean... That's right, for the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time. Yes, of course, I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. Of course, her using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. I'm sorry, Inspector, that must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then, eh? Sorry? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. Right, just that won't be a problem, it says. Well, obviously it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Ah, the little knife-wielding, mustached Japanese fellow. He lives in a right old hovel. It's just over there, look. Oh, it's this one. Okay. On the first floor of that house on the corner where that wreck of a bicycle is propped up. That is nearby indeed. Hi, been running around a little chicken with its head cut off trying to pack and get ready to leave on vacation tomorrow. How are you? Cool, I'm glad you have a vacation. I've had a rough day. Bad sleep, intensely messed up nightmares. I feel like I've been run over by a truck on like a psychological way, but so it goes. Not every day can be good. But I'm hoping I managed to get good progress done here, so we salvage what we can. Yes. And I did manage to do some Witcher walking, 3 hours I think. So that's something. I also had to do a bunch of troubleshooting. I tried to see if I could fix my 3DS button. It doesn't seem physically broken. It's just somewhat unresponsive. I have no idea why. Should probably investigate how much it would cost to try and get it fixed by someone. So it goes. Life has had its ups and downs, and I have surely been a lot worse not too long ago. So, it's all perspective, right? If I remember rightly, the landlord is a Mr. John Garideb. Right, well, if you see her again, you make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it. You tell her that Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then. And long live her ladyship. Interesting. Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yes, so shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Definitely. Alrighty. Actually, probably just move. Uh-huh. Let's go. 19th of February, Mr. Natsume's lodgings. May I help you? Ah, yes, would this be the residence of Mr. John Garrideb? Indeed it would, sir. And who may I say is calling? My name is Ruinosuke Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here. We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client. One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garrideb. Uh-huh. Did you see that, Miss Susato? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in English society employs a number of household staff. But that was the first time I've ever seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. It certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? We need only to meet a butler and the experience will be complete. Well, I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garrideb will see you now. This way. Oh, go. Let's check. Good day to you. John Garrideb at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ruinosuke Naruhodo. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me not getting up. Took a shot to the knee a few years back in the Battle of Maywen, don't you know? Or an arrow to the knee, yeah. Earned a medal for my pains, but had to withdraw from service. Handed over the reins to the up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. It's a hell of a job getting up and down stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yes, it's quite a climb up here to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruhodo. Do you think so? Well, Mr. Garrideb, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Oh, it was nothing. The medal's just a folderol, really. Wouldn't like to offend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it now, down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the— Ah! Dash it, old woman, be careful. Oh, dearie me, I do beg your pardon, sir. You jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. I shall be more careful, sir. So anyway, there you have it, living the quiet life now. I wonder if he's the witness. Yes, I see, or if the maid is the witness, or both. Now then, I hear you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs, is that right? Yes, we would be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps to keep the peace here in Blighty. We forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. So this case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? Even had some famous detective poking around. You know, in this old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Sherlock Sholmes. Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Right. Oh, but you have a copy of Rand's magazine here, so... Huh? No, Anyway, the chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. Oh, goody, let's go talk to the chap and accuse him of being evil. Like, I'm sort of like... I enjoyed the deductive games with Herlock, but I do think the character is surprisingly evil if you really think about it. Like, only to to boost his own ego and his like fallacy of being, you know, the detective who makes no mistakes and whatever, only to prop up that false image of himself. How many people has he, innocent people, has he sent to the gallows? Because the police seems to listen to him, and we already have 2 examples of him having innocent people arrested for murder. That's Sherlock Holmes. And I don't think he's gotten any innocents out. I think all of those innocent people are dead. Like, that's on him. And he doesn't care. I think that, like, that's the most evil character in the game so far. So it's in Soseki-san's room. It's a bally nuisance is what it is. The whole neighborhood's switching its curtains now. I don't like all this fuss. It's jolly unsettling. Alright. About Mr. Natsume. About Mr. Natsume then, Mr. Garadeb, please do tell us. Ah yes, the Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for a week. Oh, just 1 week? So he moved in very recently then. I have 2 lodgers most of the time, one on the ground floor and one just below us. The first floor room became available a week ago, you see. Dash it all, Joe, and do be careful. Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. Do you want to know my opinion? I thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? He seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. The man had Shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. I said to myself, Joan, that man is trouble. Sooner or later, he's going to do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. We won't be calling this maid as a witness, that's for sure. Was there anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Yes, oh yes, indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us. The Shady Lodger. Had you noticed anything else at all about your lodger, Mr. Natsume? Oh my word, yes, the man was shadier than an orchard. Could you elaborate? Well, take the man's room. Absolutely stuffed full of books it is, more than anyone could ever read. And he never so much as passed a time of day with another living soul. I haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back at 5 to light the gas fire. And the fun little man is up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed too. Oh, I see. The gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed at around 9 each night, but I've never known that Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. So when do you sleep then? Ah. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsume's routine? Oh. I'd understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct? That's right, yes, they're both below us, on the first floor in the street level. Then, how is it that you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? The precise times that they come back in the evening, for example, even the times when they go to bed. Good grief, Joan, be more careful, woman! Oh my goodness, sir, I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here. The incident 2 days ago. It seems that the incident took place at around 5 in the evening. Did you happen to look out of the window at around that time? The window? A lot of broken dishes or whatever here. Yes, we noticed that the window over there looks out over Briar Road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby? 5 o'clock is dinner time in the Gardeb household, so I'm afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? No, sir, it would have been dusk outside already at that hour. And with the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then? Such as... anything at all, even if it seems unrelated. Well... yes, was there something then? Well, it's nothing particularly significant, but around at some time in there... Ah! For the love of God, Joan, watch what you're doing! Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir. Do be more careful, woman. Of course, sir. If I may, Mr. Narrow Hollow? Oh, yes? I have an exceedingly good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour, nothing at all. Oh, really, Mr. Garideb? The way we were talking before, it sounded rather like there might have been. Oh, well, as I was saying, a trifle matter. Ah! Joan, dash it all, what is the matter with you, woman? Joan is trying to silence Garideb for some reason. Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened. Is there like a really weird, like, you know, controlling relationship going on here with like the maid controlling what Garideb does because he can't walk, or what the hell? Nothing happened. We sat down to a quiet, uneventful meal, Joan? That's right, Mr. Garideb. What is the matter with these two? Wonder what she doesn't want him to say. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident, but what? I wish I knew. Mr. Natsume's room. Could you tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on? Didn't he mention it was street level, right? Why, certainly. Just below us on the first... Fuck, damn it! Sorry. And Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as... I am always confused by floor numbering, because floor numbering in English is nonsense. Like, I do not agree that there is a thing called the ground floor and the first floor and the second and so on. In my book, it should be 1, 2, 3, not ground 1, 2, like... That is just madness. It's like more madness than the imperial system for like measuring stuff. Like what? Why? What's wrong with you people? It's very confusing, yeah. And it doesn't help that at least in Finland, because of that thing, there are some elevators that do like that have like G123, and some have just 1, 2, 3. And because even we don't know, like, what the hell do you want from us? We just want to have numbers, like, good god. Yes, told me Natsu's name had asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key. Oh, really? Mr. Natsume has engaged Mr. Sholmes' services? I doubt that. That's a blatant lie. Would it be alright if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean. Don't see why not. It's just down the one flight upstairs. Who knows if we'll find anything that could help us with the case, but we have to try. Also, we might be able to, you know, clock Sholmes over the head and, you know, tie some, you know, concrete to his boots and throw him into the river because he's dangerous. And he needs to, like, be stopped. He's worse than Jack the Ripper. We need all the clues we can lay our hands on, shall we? Yes, and while we're there, we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again. Perhaps you'll be able to tell us more. And I'm so confused by the character of Susato. So, like, in case you didn't catch the last stream, like, we've established multiple times over that Susato already knows that Sherlock Sholmes has solid, like, observational talent, but his reasoning and deductions are all about 100% wrong. Like, therefore, like, Susato knows that Sholmes is a fraud, and a person who throws innocent people into jail and probably to the gallows as well. Yet still, in the last episode, I did the beginning yesterday. Still, in the last bit of this case, or the previous one, Susato just reverts back into, oh, he's the greatest detective, maybe he is the greatest, and he will solve the case, and he's the best, and he is so intelligent, and he's gonna know everything. And I'm like, Susato, you know Sherlock is a fraud, and a dangerous fraud at that. What's wrong? Like, you know this basic, like, it's just really, really basic, like, uncontroversial facts. Like, what? And I'm so confused by the characterization of Susato, because in the courtroom, she's a very, very, like, she's like our encyclopedia of the rules. Like, she has the book, she knows the law, she tells me what to do in there. She's all helpful and smart and well-read and everything, right? And then we get to investigating again, and her IQ drops to like 10. And she goes, oh, Sherlock is the best detective ever. And I'm like, do you need some water? Like, what's wrong? Like, what? Like, it's weird. I don't understand. Alright. Oh, cool. So I'm vaguely curious. Number one, this here. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is, oh dear, it's in pieces. It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. Major fangirl. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense why she would be. She's seen that Sherlock doesn't know anything and is just a fraud. Like, I don't understand. Like, I would understand that, like, it's even beyond fangirling about the stories. It's like she reverts back into believing whatever Sherlock Sholmes would deduce, even though she knows that his deductions are all garbage. Like, it doesn't make any intellectual sense. Like, what? I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it. Yes, probably something like that, but let's not delve too deeply here. Alright. I do like the hair mohawk he has going on. He looks like a crescent moon. That's a look. Okay, thank you. Oh crap. A butterfly flew into my lamp. I think it's gonna probably die in there. If it survives up until the break, I'm gonna dig it out or something, unless it gets out on its own. 19th of February, Mr. Natsume's room. What? Just look at this place. And it's a day butterfly too, like not a night one or a moth. It's just it's a day butterfly, but it's nighttime. It's confused. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. I mean, I think you saw this much books in Strongheart's office, though. It's so dark in here, too. Yeah. With a bricked up window. Is that the window over there? Yeah. Well, it was the window, I think. Yeah, once upon a time. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. I forget, like, there was a reasoning for it, but I don't remember what it is anymore. I did hear a reason why it is, but I don't, like, not in game, I mean in, like, history. I so hard forget what it was. Was it, like, heating costs, or what? I don't... So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. But by the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garadeb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Maybe he's the cat. Hmm. Ow. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I didn't know about that. I don't know about that. He disappeared in that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mikey, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevice between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit here and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it, look. And the date of the purchase... 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. A receipt discovered in Mr. Natsume's room for some books that he had purchased from a second-hand bookshop before the incident occurred. Oh. Look at all those books stacked up there. They almost reach the ceiling. They're all works of English literature, and they all smell so musty. With this volume of books to hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe for me at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the book that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. So reading it is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as the tea ceremony teaches us. I certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn down the path of tea ceremony philosophy. Hello, evil! Look, Mr. Naruhodo! Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? From hell, because he is the evil. Yes. He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes! Ah, you two, good day. Now let me see. Where was this... Was it that we met? It was when you tried to have me killed. You know? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria. Yes, of course, the Buria. Let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Asogi. He died, tragically, but you were a great help to us. No, he wasn't. He tried to get me, convicted of it. Ah yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh. Well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr... Oh no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Brain attic instead of mind palace, right? Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Close. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. Ah ha ha ha. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki in that short an amount of time. I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. Sort of true, but it can be trained to remember a lot of stuff, though. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes. We have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. Yes, and that earnest expression is going to be again disappointed by your lack of competence because you are a nonsense peddler of nonsense logic. So can we just maybe instead of believing him, just like get on with it and not waste time with his nonsense theories? Yes. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Mr. Natsume's arrest. Why do you keep having innocent people arrested? Why does that make you tick? Why are you not already arrested? And so on, and you should be locked forever in jail and never again set foot on any street of anything ever. Yes. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Mr. Sato, but see, I'm evil, and I like to have innocent people arrested, it seems. Like, he is the worst person. I like the deduction game, but I just can't get over the horrible implications of this character. Like, even beyond being a Sherlock Holmes fan, like, he's so endlessly evil. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's the god damn. Or perhaps evil is, in a matter of speaking, the wrong word, especially if you don't really believe in evil as such, but he's essentially, like, has a mental illness that causes him to have countless innocent people die. He should be in an asylum and never set foot outside until he's cured, and we can, like, you know, trust that he's never gonna harm anyone again, you know? But I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking Sato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance, or I think he is. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. I don't think we are. I already know that you like putting innocent people in chains and trying to pin murders on them. I know you like that. I know you do that too. I assure you, I have no recollection of accusing your stupid compatriot of the crime. But you did. You said the same thing about Ruinosuke. He said the same thing. He accused Ruinosuke of murder, had him arrested, and then just claimed, "Oh, I never claimed anything." Ha 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 ha. He's evil and also a liar. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. A man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address, elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then? That I could not tell you, but it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, displayed at such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No. I think he's a man of evil. Simple as that. Oh dear. Mr. Garideb the landlord. Tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Yes, Mr. Garideb, a retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution that is the services. And it was the first time I have ever met a maid from the great British institution that is service. Ha 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 ha. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing, sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary! As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. And it is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired army veteran, Mr. John Garideb. Oh. Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of his case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. The Dingy Room. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window? Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Oh, that's right, window tax. That's right. That rings a bell. I remember that from some history fact that I learned one day. Yeah. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. I think it might be connected to the fact that the people need to go be tapping on the windows, and therefore there's a window tax or something. I think that was it. Precisely that. Oh my goodness. Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up, while the rich opened windows here, there and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in the rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little dig-in, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Honestly, I don't think the room is that bad, it's just really dark. Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh, like, if it has clean water and, like, not terrible soundproofing, I'd be fine there for a bit. And it's really cheap, so, you know. Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhara. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? Yes, and I seem to have succeeded. I mean, Strongheart says so I'm a lawyer, apparently. You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? I'm not sure. I think, yeah. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly, too. The thing is, it's really made me question things, and I'm right to believe in my... am I right to believe in my clients, to trust in their innocence? That's not necessarily required. Just defend them to the best of your ability in accordance to the law. That's the key. You don't have to believe anything. Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? Ha 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 ha. My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. But there are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was a Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what does Mr. Sholmes tell us? I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garridev is? Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case. I see. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time that we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garidev's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Okay. Looks, tricky, that's for sure. So... Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home. It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Miss Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way back from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? Right. This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. It looks very robust. I wonder what it's for. There's a slot for inserting coins here, too. BRB, cool. Ah, I believe it is a gas meter, Mr. Naruhodo. A gas meter? Yes, it seems there's a piped gas in this district which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter. So if we were to put a coin in the slot, there would be enough gas to use the lights and the gas fire for the whole night. So if you're too poor to have a coin, you'd have to spend the night in the dark and freezing cold. That's right. As with a rich man who only carried crisp, white notes. London's a scary place. He does have the benefit of being not on the ground floor, so whatever warmth is in the street level would somewhat rise up, I think, through the building, so it would help a little bit there. Okay, yeah, nothing there. Look at all these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them in English. It looks like the waste paper basket is so full they've just fallen out. I think Mr. Natsume must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you? Or poetry. Or deeply averse to tidying up his mess. I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth. Uh-huh. Could you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although, all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. So really it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design on in a fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. Well, I mean, he's cooped up in a different room, so that's also probably trying. Yep, let's go back to Garideb's place and see if we can figure something out. 19th of February, Mr. Garideb's room. Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Sherlock Holmes? Ah, yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Holmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joan. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Ah! For the upteenth time, woman, will you watch that for your wally well-doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Ah, yes, of course. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you could be so kind. Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garideb is hiding something. And since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. Ah, what's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes! Aha, we meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Sherlock Holmes, sir, at your service. Whatever were you doing over by the window? I'm given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Well, keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. I like the mini game. It's if that helps. Well, the deduction spectacular. It's fun, but the character evil. Wait, he's not talking about. Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There's a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo? I think so. There's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Mr. Garideb. Though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon. The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. Huh? And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruhodo, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How? How could you possibly... How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. for in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Ah! And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. The game is afoot. Nature of the beast. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Ah. Your fertile glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. True nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, though an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. Hmm? He has a slap on his face. Possibly by the maid, I don't know. Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. Chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well. Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Ah. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb, at Batty Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I have observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion, and a simple visit to the circus will now reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. We might need to fix this. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose of distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man. There's the visage problem, right there. Like a red hand mark or whatever. Nonsense, man, I simply... But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, this is the pile of bills that was given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Ah. For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only to look at the Tower of Cakes. Ah. I mean, it's the candle, though. There is no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Yes, but I don't remember which one. It's a very well-known phrase, let them eat cake, but I never really... I did not figure out who was the one who said it first. Or sorry, I didn't check. Oh well. Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There is only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Aha. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Oh boy. Ah! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Often attributed probably falsely to Queen France Marie Antoinette. Ah, that's... yeah. Sounds about right. At least how probably I heard it one day. Also, hello, and welcome. And I hope you've had an excellent day. And I am humbled to have you here. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm still a little like I've had a rough day, but I choose to try to remember the fact that I made partner on YouTube, so I think that's pretty good. So I'm trying to like focus on the positive, right? Like I worked on that for many years. A lot of work. But I hope you had an excellent one, though. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but could I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it, again? Well, your deductions just now... Congrats, thank you. I try to focus on the good. You know, it's always the fight to fight the bad brain, you know, so... Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garadeb and his mate would have been hurt or worse. Ah, that's where you're stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said that they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. Ah, my dear Mr. Sato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion! Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage, that's all Mr. Shum's deductions need. You can do it! Excellent, I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. Well, maybe. At least that's what I want to believe. Yeah, not every time the truth is worth pursuing, maybe, but I see your point. Let us start again from the beginning. Well, Sherlock Holmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Yes. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Give us a hot minute, I just realized I need to do a thing here. Alright. There we go. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with a military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Ah. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrett, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Alright, and there we go. I really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garredeb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yes, something with a very fierce nature. But it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? We must follow Mr. Garredeb's gaze. That will lead us to the true answer. What's this photograph? It appears to be from Mr. Garredeb's wedding. He looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. Is the bride the maid? No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. I wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply there. But I believe this is the answer.
Take that!
Take that! Is a photograph. So I've yet to examine it in detail, I can show you that it holds the answer. Because I'm employing an extremely advanced detection technique called jumping to conclusions, you see. I mean, but it works for Sholmes, though. What precisely was your intention with that, Mr. Naruhodo? Just following the natural progression of the deduction. Sometimes the truth hurts. Well, the truth is you do not have a return for observation or deduction. Did that hurt? Yes, a lot. I mean, yeah, but deduction isn't what he does either, so, you know, glass houses, you know? Okay. These are shells from the cannon, are they? What a strange place to keep them. I imagine they have some significance to Mr. Garadeb from his time in the army. Ah, of course. He mentioned a battle to us before, didn't he? Do you remember? He said that he'd been shot in the knee. Perhaps it was one of these that hit him. I doubt that. If a round that size hit his knee, there'd be nothing left of it, or Mr. Garadeb for that matter. Mr. Sholmes takes a Persian slipper, and this man has spent shells. Perhaps it's customary in Britain to display, well, rubbish on the mantelpiece. Oh!
Take that!
Come on, it's the same answer, really? Come on. Come on. That's bad design. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that newlywed like, I pointed at the picture already, would you? Come on. Precisely, Mr. Naruhodo. No other explanation could possibly fit. Yes, this framed print pictures your wife, Mr. Garadeb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, we can still make out her mighty arms and note the considerable horsepower they must contain. Oh, indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored to be described as a beast. I'm sure. Yes, that's how it works. Honored might be stretching to a point. Too late, the fact remains that the beast, which is so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garadeb. Ah! The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well. Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives me a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. The poor, fragile, defenseless woman is beside herself. Well, I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyway, Mrs. Sholmes is quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Garadeb anywhere. But it seems there may be a clue as to her whereabouts. A clue that this maid is trying to hide. I wonder where Mr. Garadeb's wife could be. I mean, I think it's her in disguise, but wedding ring. She's wearing a very large ring, look. Oh yes, a sunflower design with some rather nice embellishments. And it's on the ring finger of the left hand, which means it's surely a wedding ring. It looks like it's on there for life too. I can't imagine it would slide off a finger of that size. That's something to think, Mr. Naruhodo, not to say. Do you know, Mr. Garadeb's wife in the photograph had a ring very much like this one. It was a large sunflower design as well. Really, you have a great memory for these things. A large sunflower wedding ring. It's quite a coincidence that they have the same ring, isn't it? Yes, it's surely a coincidence and totally unrelated.
Take that!
Take that! Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. Indeed it does. That flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown on the hand of Mr. Garadeb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you are no ordinary household maid. Ah! No. You are Mr. Garadeb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garadeb herself. Oh my, word! A word up. Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is the wife, yes, my Joan. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was a bally corker back— Ah! It would appear that you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you are a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid, would that be correct? Is that right, I tell you? I was 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. A man has his pride, don't you know? By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yes, here in London one is rather judged. A household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garadeb has his wife work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garadeb? I thought we already established this. Only in company, obviously, but listen here. This must remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. The raging wife of Mr. Garadeb. Solved. And then the other bit. Now, Mr. Garadeb. It is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Mr. Sholmes is quite something. He's still calling Mr. Garadeb's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. But Mrs. Garadeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. So perhaps that supporting arm that seems to be propping up his head has some other significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garadeb's pain is tangible, though. What could that pose of his really signify? Slapped cheek.
Take that!
Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders, the pain you feel being revealed by that slapped cheek. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade was you, Madame Joan Garadeb. Well, yes. You have been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. Ah! How the blazes? How did you work that out, man? Nothing escapes notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. That's why you haven't looked directly at us even once. To keep your other side from view. Well, Now, let us proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garadeb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Didn't Mr. Sholmes say that the bills were all for lion fodder? Yes, but now we've established that the lion never existed. Which can only mean that the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garadeb's wife. Mr. Naruhodo, she's a person, not a thing. Yes, well, she's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. One so hard that it felt left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yes, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I mean, you're the one who throws people on the floor for no reason, so... I'd love to know the answer to that question. So what is this? Ah, someone must be reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Gardeb is clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, so it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Oh, James, I love you, yours Mary. And look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with lipstick. Oh, what a passionate and romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Susato-san. Oh dear, I'm sorry. So this bookmark is actually a love note then.
Take that!
Take that! Someone's been very naughty. Yes, it is this love note that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh James, I love you, yours Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note, a certain Miss Mary, is the fly in the ointment here. Ah! But I don't know the Bally woman. You don't know her? That note wasn't written to me. It was just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's right, that's what I've been saying. Ah! A likely story. Now listen here, Joan, old thing. I explained at the time. I bought the book at that second-hand place, and that note must already have been in there. So the previous owner of the book was using the note as a bookmark, you mean? That's right, that's what I've been saying. Ah! A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you've forgotten, is John. Ah! A likely story. Are you questioning my name now? And there we have it. Arouse the suspicion of the female heart, and you unleash a beast with a most ferocious bite. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Ah. This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wondering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we only need to look at the Tower of Cakes. But surely Miss Gardeb didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. But there doesn't seem to be any doubt that the state of disarray that this room is in is a result of her wild temper. Ah! Follow the gaze, yes, sure. Alright, let's see what we can see. Yes. This looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? The base looks too small, surely it's very unstable. It looks to me like even the slightest knock would make it topple over. Oh dear, that would be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Yes, I didn't notice that before. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder? It doesn't, like, let me look at the... Well, I'll do a quick check of the carpet, but I just... The carpet here has been ripped to shreds. Yes, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, the tears match those made by an Indian lion's teeth exactly. Oh, look here. What is it? If you look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks. Oh yes, so you can. In that case, perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in the normal sense at all. Let's rethink this with that in mind. Yeah, like, we can't choose the candle there, so we'll then choose this here.
Take that!
Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need to look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yes, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured are clearly visible. Indeed they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? It would appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Ah! Mrs. Garadeb's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only on her husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused a candle to fall from the holder, and in seconds the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room in flames. Yes, Indeed. For the most ferocious beast in this world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there is but one conclusion here. After the sparks of marital discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Mr. Sholmes, sir. I salute you! No, salute me! I've solved it. Carpet scorched by a small fire. Boom. Elementary school, yes. It's these dashed long winter nights, you know, nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner by all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel you discovered some rather illicit material, for which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems. Don't know about admonished, demolished might be the rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly an apt Here we go again. And the carpet, what was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and the raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being. Over here, Mr. Garadeb? Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you allow me. Had all my favorite old novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me. What a terrible sight it must have been. There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books incoming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favorite, the book called The Lion's Pride. The lion's pride. Ah yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again. I assure the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Trump's deductions turn out to be correct once again. No? It can only be described as a great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage, flames everywhere, and the old stick in full fettle. Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think. So at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below. Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing. Oh, really? Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do for you? Well, I think we've got to the bottom of Mr. Garadeb's situation now, but what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not. I just knew you were going to say that. Ahahahaha. No, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories, those relevant to the case and those not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no, is it that time already? If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garadeb. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you both very much for your time. Soseki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Oh, cool. So, prison. I'm pretty sure I chose prison. 19th of February, Briar Road. It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison. I chose prison. Why are we here? Yes, I know. Let's hail a car. Oh. What's the matter? It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garadeb's house. Uh-huh. Right. I know thee not, old man, fall to thy prayers. Why are you calling an old man, you rum-looking niminy-piminy? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. What's he supposed to be, the Jack of Hearts? Like, what? Who's this Horatio fella, huh? What are you on about? Excuse me? What the? Who are you now? I'm sorry, just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ruinosuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see. A lawyer? What? If I can be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I have studied English law. Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet. Get thee to a nunnery! Do I look like a blooming nun to you? Are those the witnesses? I do hope you're not injured. O fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle, thank you. What was that all about? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I'm not Horatio either. Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Garadeb residence? O fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode. Mr. Garadeb mentioned that he had another lodger, didn't he? This must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor? Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a polemist in my battle of words never could there be. Sorry, battle did you say? Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Miss Natsume and I sparred long into the night. I see. I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least. So fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well. I didn't really understand him, but I think he returned to his room. It seems he's unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the Garadeb house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage. Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return. Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over. "19th of February, 6:31 p.m. Local prison, cell 9. Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Miss Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched. We are so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume. Oh no, think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nipponese. Oh now, let's not get carried away. Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. Ah, oh, it's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herlock Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here? I have no intention of doing anything per se, save observing, of course. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home, to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight and cost me not a penny. Ah, you! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings, no doubt my luck will be crushed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned! What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean. And there is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. What? Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial. What's that supposed to mean? Alrighty, cursed trial. Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you just said now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed? Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it. Oh, I see. That's really agitated him. You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? Dot 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 dot. Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey? The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me, summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words. No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution, ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. If we catch the A, that's 16. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly. Yeah, there we are. Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances. Mr. McGilded. What? I am impressed, Mr. Sato. You have an eye for detail. Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that, having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely. Ahahahaha. You have some wonderful notions. Sorry? Yeah, apparently McGilded stepped inside the carriage. The carriage just burst into flames, and that's that. Although we never saw a body, so I have my doubts about this, but we'll see, right? The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow. Oh, yes. Why, of course he is. Ah, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me? It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. What on earth do you mean by that? We need to go back and watch. Yeah, it was at the very end of. Well, I mean, at the very beginning of this case, it was mentioned, and it was shown in a cutscene at the very end of the last case. Well, the burning carriage and someone inside was shown, but not sure who, and then the Chief Justice said it was McGilded and that he was dead. The Reaper. Van Zieks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception. Ah, that's good. So Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in a British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Yeah, that's why I'm not a big fan of the notion of a jury. I don't know, public opinion, you know, the average person might not be wise enough to, you know, ascertain if someone's guilty or not of something. I don't... Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail. But it means the wrong verdict can be passed. And sadly is from time to time, my dear madam, it is simply the reality of the situation. And that's alright. However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice, their fate is sealed. Oh my. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking. Disappear? But how? By all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage, perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Oh, no. All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo. I knew it. I'm a dead dodo, done for, doomed. Cursed Lodgings. When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe that the place is cursed? It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I had only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself. That didn't take long then. Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away. You must have been very lonely, having been away from your homeland for such a long time. I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road a week ago now. Yes, why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient. The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it, but if not, don't mention it in the first place." Yes, well said. But it was true. It was all true. You mean the room really is cursed, then? Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I wake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really no one at all? To believe, yes, to believe. To believe. Do you believe in life after life? Mr. Sholmes. Me, Mr. Naruhodo. Pray, what can I do for you? It's about the case on the SS Buria, if you recall. The Buria? The Buria. That case. The one with the snake? Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. No, he didn't. He pointed the finger at you and kept on claiming and putting cuffs on you over and over. And you helped us to investigate. It's debatable, really. Like, we shouldn't have been put in that situation in the first place. And it was all because of the megalomaniac right there. I did I? Interesting. What I want to know is why. Why did you believe in... No, he didn't believe in you. I see, yes, you mean... Because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with the victim in a locked room. Well, if you like, yes. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said I didn't do it. But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little. I think perhaps you have misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me. What? You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in. What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I'm concerned. But I could have betrayed your trust. Aha ha 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 ha. In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion. Meaning, whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right, Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. Whether or not I can believe in myself. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. You were so right, Kazuma. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe. Already? Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. Hey, Sador. Thanks for the alert, much appreciated. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me? Oh dear, there is never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you. The locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial. Something crucial? What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I must believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire! I will fight for your innocence until the bitter end with every weapon available to me. So I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow. As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue. Of course, Mr. Natsume. It'd be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it. Yes, I think you're right about that. I'm wondering, because it's never really put together what language these are speaking, because we know that at points we and the defendant have been speaking Japanese to each other, but I don't know if Herlock speaks Japanese. So do we now all speak English here, or is there like a disconnect in the language or whatever? It's kind of odd to me. I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got here in the end. Roundabout journey indeed. Mr. Sato. Yes? Would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant. The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind, but it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learned to believe in myself. That much is always a good idea, though. Soseki-san has no one. He's all alone, so it's my job to help him to fight his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. To be continued? Yes, to be continued. There we go. To be continued. Look at that. There we are. Save current progress. We're gonna, but indeed I have to call the recording here because these intermissions are a good spot to call the recording on YouTube. So if you are watching this on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have, it would mean the world for me if you would like to leave a like. Or subscribe if you'd like to, because if you want to see more, I don't know if it seems like it, but it does mean the world to me if you would. And I thank you all so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next part of this case. Have a good one.